The Bunker King Command Mask is a bit of an oddity. So normally when we see these paintball masks or goggle systems, they're from larger manufacturers, mainly because it costs a bunch of money to make a mask. Lots of money and time are spent in the research and development stages of making these paintball masks, right? You gotta make all types and kinds of prototypes to check out comfort and ventilation, fit, all those things, but most importantly, they have to make sure the lenses are safe. And sometimes these companies spend a lot of money on this stuff and it all ends up being for naught. You don't really get anything out of it. Most notably is probably Angel when they tried to make the Angel eyes, and they had so many problems with that lens system, they just gave up. And then it was later undertaken by Tiberius Arms. They tried and they renamed it the C2 Ion, but they also failed. So I say in the past there have been manufacturers who have failed at making masks, but I think that is gonna start changing a little bit. We've definitely seen Push come out with the Push Unite goggle, and that's really their only product, and it's pretty impressive. Like, making these masks work well, getting all those rubbers and plastics to like make a paintball mask is fairly difficult. But I do think in the future, like even the coming years, we might see some smaller manufacturers make some pretty cool masks. Just because making, products has become a lot easier. 10, 15 years ago, to get something like prototyped or tested out, you had to buy a $250,000 rapid prototyping machine or like actually get molds made. It was very expensive. And now you can go buy, a 3D printer for $200, print your mask out and just kind of see how it works. Did I say $200? Maybe like 2,000. So while like that Angel Eyes mask and the Tiberius mask failed, we have seen Push be successful. And I think we're kind of seeing that same thing with Bunker Kings, right? We're seeing that smaller manufacturer able to make masks because like that manufacturing stuff and like prototyping stuff, it's just gotten a lot easier. Bunker King also kind of took a new approach for advertising and marketing and like selling the first batch of these things. They took that Kickstarter where you were able to get the thing for as little as $89 if you were like part of the early bird, like first people that joined that campaign. But now, in a couple weeks here, they should start hitting your paintball stores and they're gonna retail for $170. Because making a paintball mask just, out of thin air is difficult, Bunker Kings decided to go with the Virtue lens system. So that means it's gonna use all of the Virtue like goggly stuff. So it's gonna have Virtue foam, uses that Virtue lens, takes the same goggle straps, temple frames the same, temple foam is the same, uses the same hinge locking system as the Virtue masks. It just makes it a lot easier and cheaper really for Bunker Kings to make this, and it's cool for you guys and local paintball stores. So all the local stores and internet stores already have a lot of this stuff. So they already have those lenses for the Virtue masks and foam and all those things. So it just makes getting parts a little bit easier for you guys too. So because the Command is using a lot of Virtue parts in the like goggle frame area, it's definitely gonna feel very similar. Like, I always liked the Virtue masks. I never complained about them being uncomfortable or like fitting weird or anything. My biggest complaint was they just didn't breathe very well. I mean, I wouldn't say that they breathe bad, but there are definitely masks that are breathing better. Like that Push Unite mask breathes better. Definitely the JT ProFlexes and the Empire E-Flex breathe better. And they're not as labored as you would be breathing. They're not as... You don't labor as much while breathing in those masks as you do like the Virtue masks. So when Bunker Kings made the Command, the whole idea was put as much ventilation on it as reasonable. So the thing breathes very, very well. I mean, you can just look at the thing. There's so much ventilation, it's pretty obvious that it's gonna breathe well. So to me, having that ventilation, that extreme breathability right away makes the thing just feel lighter and airier and just more comfortable than the Virtue masks. But at the same time, right, all those contact points are the same. But I think having all that airflow and just that airiness of the mask just makes it feel nicer. So for sure, somebody in the comments of this is gonna be like, what if you get paint in your mouth? Yeah, it's gonna happen. You're gonna get shot in the mouth and paint's gonna go in there. There's gonna be a bad taste in your mouth for maybe 3 to 4 seconds, but you'll be all right. So unlike those Virtue masks, the Bunker Kings Command mask is made of some very soft rubber around like the face bottom area. I'd say that this probably at this point is the softest, like most rubbery flexible mask on the market. And that means it's more flexible than the JT ProFlex, even the really new version that's just a couple weeks old, and the Empire E-Flex. I'd say that the rubber on these is very like gummy and like kind of soft. So if any of you guys remember the JT ProFlex, like Eyes, the IZE, I think that's how they pronounce that, I don't remember. It feels like that. So it's definitely a little softer and not as like hard as we're seeing like on the current JT mask or the Empire Reflex. Most of these manufacturers and like most paintball players are gonna say that they like that softness or the rubbery to get a little bit of a bounce. So maybe you could get shot in the mouth, face, and then a ball bounces off your mask. I don't know, like I've been playing with these soft rubber masks for what seems like nearly 20 years, and I don't know if I've ever gotten a bounce off my face. What I think that rubber does more so is just, I don't know, I think the rubber just kind of like helps that mask fit your face a little bit better. It's a little bit more like moldy to the shape of your head. So I think those rubber masks, comparatively to like the hard plastic ones, are just more comfortable. And I think that Bunker King mask being made out of that rubber, that soft rubber on the face compared to those Virtue masks, does make it a little bit more comfortable than the Virtue masks. So I think with the combination of having very good ventilation, that ventilation just kind of makes the mask feel a little bit more airy and like light. And then having that rubber makes this one of the most comfortable masks on the market. Like, I really like it. Like, this might be my new paintball mask. I don't know, we're gonna find out. See, the worst part about these though, and all of the Virtue masks, is just kind of how wide they are on your head. It's not so much that like the interior goggle frame is wide, it's just a little hinge system that Virtue's using to lock those lenses in is a little bit wider, maybe a little bit fatter than some of these other masks. So it's making that temple area, or just the width profile of that mask, a little bit wider. So it probably sticks out like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch more than all those other traditional masks, whether it was like that Push Unite mask, we've been talking about the ProFlex, the E-Flex, the V-Force masks. It definitely sticks out the sides way more than those. So if you're playing competitive paintball, having that 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch more sticking out the side could mean quite a bit, right? Like you're snap shooting, and then that means your head is coming out just a little bit earlier than those other masks. And having it stick out a little bit just maybe makes it a little bit harder to hide behind stuff. I don't care. Having that little bit of extra size, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not playing competitive paintball, like I'm just going out and playing rec ball. And if I get shot once more every 10 years because the side of my mask is a 1/2 inch wider, well, big deal. So the Command, my final thoughts, I like the thing. I mean, when I'm buying a paintball mask, the most important part is how well it breathes. Like, I need something that breathes well. I don't care if it's lighter, looks cooler, is cheaper, has cooler features, whatever. If I can't breathe and I'm struggling on the field and just uncomfortable because I can't get air in and out fast enough, I'm like, I don't care what it looks like. It's gotta breathe. And the only masks I know of that breathe better are gonna be the JT ProFlex and the Empire Reflex. And then the Command, having all that rubber on the bottom, makes it really comfortable. I do think having all that rubber helps aid in that comfort. And then I like all those Virtue parts. Having the Virtue foam and lenses and all that stuff makes it very easy to get parts and kind of convenient from paintball stores. I'm sure they kind of like that. So that's a Command review. If you got a question, leave a comment.